What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Happy Skews Day to you. Well, you're seeing this on March 4th, 2025. We're coming to you from the past, as per usual lately. It's 1:36 p.m. on Monday, March 3rd, as we sit down to record this. I'm flying blind on this one. I literally just walked into my office from a plane from Florida, so I don't even know what Mark is going to be talking about, but I do have an odd Sour Patch Kid flavored energy drink that I'm sure will kill me before the age of 40, but looking forward to it. How are you doing, Mark?
Yeah, might as well bring back the Panera Death Lemonade, dude. The way things are going, who cares?
Yeah.
We got a fun show. We'll be talking about, dude, I feel like it's going to be a recurring topic, but like we might as well start numbering them. But I've titled the episode "America is a Flea Market for Rich Perverts" because the rapid nature to which everything is for sale to a comical degree. We're going to be talking about like some obvious graphs having to do with grifts having to do with crypto and shit in a little bit that are breathtaking in their just like upfrontness. Do you know what I'm saying? There's like no ruse, no guile, just like you give me money, you get out of jail.
Right.
To do more scams. It's anyway. So we're also going to be talking about America's hot new murder cult that Fox News is all over with because some of the people involved are trans. And probably my favorite episodes to do where we just get to talk about a bunch of weirdos, a bunch of strange people out there just doing their strange things. And today's full of it, so I'm very excited about today's show. The first one, before we get to the show, I want to talk about is a guy I want to tell you about named Scott Libido, who I'm assuming is a spaghetti person.
Sounds like a spaghetti person to me. Yeah.
Also, he's from Staten Island, so it's two strikes in the spaghetti person column.
Yeah. That's like advanced spaghetti person and on this side of the Atlantic anyway.
Yeah. So he turned himself in a couple days ago. What he had been doing, the charge he was facing, he's real mad about red light cameras and speed cameras in Staten Island.
A man after my own heart, a patriot.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll get to that. Be careful taking his side, okay?
Okay. I hate those, though. But anyway.
Everybody does, because we want to get away with crimes if a cop's not looking. It feels like
exactly.
It feels like you should have to catch me. I understand the impulse, but we'll get to why this guy's a dickhead. He's a dickhead in a few different ways. But so what he was doing was going around and doing what he called a, quote, community beautification project where he'd cover up the cameras with, like, flowers. Okay. So he turned himself in. The Department of Transportation estimated that Libido he'd covered up 14 different camera systems with his fake flowers. The DA in the case, a guy named Michael McMahon, sympathized with Libido. It said that DOT speed cameras were, quote, omnipresent, adding that Libido's actions were, quote, not the crime of the century. Like most Staten Islanders, I loathe the omnipresence of speed cameras, which we seem to have way more of than our fair share, of compared to other boroughs. For the record here, Staten Island actually has the lowest density of speed cameras per square mile, according to the New York Department of Transportation in New York City. It's just the conservative white borough where all the cops live.
Okay.
So what we're doing here is the cops already face less law enforcement, and they want to face none for speeding. Okay.
Right. Wait. So just like it's where all the cops. So it just makes it easier on the cops to. It's like automating their own job, like on purpose, so they don't have to do that.
No. They live there. They don't want to get speeding tickets.
Right. Okay. I thought you said that was the only neighborhood that had all the speed cameras in it, or whatever.
No. They have less than the other boroughs. The DA bought his bullshit saying these cameras are omnipresent and I hate them. We have more than every other borough when the numbers show they have less than every other borough.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, we're got on the same page now. Okay. So, for context here, Libido's truck has been hit with 43 school zone speeding tickets and 5 red light tickets since 2022. 43 speeding tickets.
43 school zone speeding tickets? That's some pretty impressive numbers right there.
Right. So more context here. The speed enforcement cameras only exist in school zones. Right. So he's gotten 43 speeding tickets for speeding in school zones in the last 3 years. Okay. I watched the video he posted on his Instagram where he mashed up news coverage of the story with him pulling up to the courthouse to turn himself in an SUV flying a bunch of American flags that he had set to Twisted Sister's "We're Not Gonna Take It."
That's the exact level of subtlety and nuance I would expect from a Staten Island spaghetti person.
There's nothing more punk rock than hitting a kid with your car.
Yeah,
All he wants to do is to be able to do 50 in a school zone that your kids are walking across a crosswalk in and not be able to get in trouble for it unless a cop is standing there. And this is a civil rights issue in Staten Island.
It's also funny because on Dave Chappelle, I think on Killing Him Softly, one of Dave Chappelle's like old, incredible all-time classic comedy specials from 20-something years ago or whatever, he has a bit about, his white buddy who is just totally unafraid of cops or whatever. And it's like, I'm sorry, officer, I didn't know I couldn't do that, and the cops are like, well, now you know, I get out of here, and like that. That's what it's all about. But he's talking about, he calls him Chip. He's like, he's in the car with his white friend Chip. And he's just like, basically driving on the sidewalk, speed and all this. He's blasting his fucking, this type of white person music. And he's like, we're not gonna take it. Like, that's literally the song that he uses in the bit where he's talking about white people not wanting to follow the laws or whatever. And that's from 20 years ago. So this guy's like, self-parody, which always hits.
How far are you going in Staten Island that speeding makes a difference?
Right.
Yeah, it's like I don't like whatever. It's like no speed through school zones, people. Nothing matters.
I mean, I thought that I had always been under the impression that speeding in a school zone was, at least somewhat. I didn't know a person could do that 43 times and still have a car or license or freedom. I thought you could do that like 3-4 times max, but
no. When you can drive a car, you can kill people with your car as much as you want in New York City. What you can't do is sell Lucy cigarettes because the cops will kill you for that. So that's important to keep in mind. Yeah.
Checks out. All right. Producer Matt is with us. He's actually across the pond. He's in Edinburgh, Scotland. He's in Scotland right now. He's got a kilt on, drinking whiskey and fucking writing poems. They like poetry over there. But anyway, he's over there doing that. We're over here on the left coast, divided by space and time, but united in our hearts. As always, this is Weekly Skews. Before we continue, of course, I got my standard announcements. If you'd like to see me do stand-up comedy live and in person, go to TreyCrowder.com and check out my upcoming tour dates. I was just in Florida. Those shows were fun. Thank you guys for coming out to that. We got Minneapolis coming up, then the Northeast, including the Wilbur in Boston. That's a big one, so y'all holler at that one. And then Austin, Texas, Northwest Arkansas, back home in Tennessee for a bit. That Corey and Drew will be with me on those shows as well, one of them at each show. So a lot of exciting stuff coming up. And then many, many more dates after that, too. We're filling up the whole rest of the year as we do. So go to TreyCrowder.com and come and see me. Been having fun. Sorry. This thing's going to kill me. I was like, I don't know what just happened. Anyway.
Matt can edit this out if you want.
No. Leave it. Anyway, if you enjoy this program and would like to show your support, you can do so by signing up on Patreon. You can go to weeklyskews.com/more or just go to Patreon and search for my name. Either way works. $5 a month, you get access to 2 full-length bonus episodes. It's just additional episodes of this show. If you watch this show, then you get the idea. But we also do Q&A sometimes. We're actually in the middle of one right now where we answer your burning questions. So it's a lot of fun. Get some more Skews in your life, support the show in the process. Consider signing up on Patreon. Now, it's like I said, Mark told y'all what the show's going to be about, and I'm glad he did because I would not have otherwise known. So we're going to go right ahead and get started with the Daily Dumbass. Matt, graphic, please. Today's DD, trans people for inventing a brand new thing in America called cults. Hit it, Matt.
A group of transgender computer scientists came together not to build a website, not to introduce a new app, but instead to join a violent cult. 3 members of the trans vegan group known as Zizian have been arrested on charges including trespassing on private property. And
so,
bro, if I was sitting on a plane and I looked over and I couldn't hear any of it, I just saw that chyron exposing the dangerous new trans vegan cult. Like, again, talk about self-parody. It looks made up. It looks like it's out of a sketch making fun of Fox News.
I find, as somebody who pays attention to the world, I find Fox News' framing of this kind of stuff always hilarious because, so I Googled, I was trying to figure out if America has more cults than other countries, and I couldn't find a definitive source, although a lot of people do suspect it. But I did find some research that at any given point in America, there are 5,000 active cults.
Damn.
And trans people got one now, therefore it's an emergency.
Yeah.
And so, I also, like, in context, every other cult I've ever heard of essentially was formed by some straight dude who wanted to have like a dozen child brides,
concubines. Yeah,
right. So like, this is what equality looks like. Trans people get one cult. It's fine.
Sure.
Well, not the murder part. They're alleged to have been involved in like 6 murders around the country over the past since 2022. Which we're going to get to that. I just want to warn you. I've read like a bunch of articles about this, and I could not make sense of any of it until one of our viewers by the name who does social media handles Honky Tonk Heart, who apparently works in tech and has been following this cult for a long time, knew I would be interested in it. You're absolutely correct, Honky Tonk Heart, and sent me some materials that made it make some sense. But all this is so strange. I'm going to warn you that everything I say is probably about 30 to 40% slightly off, at least. Okay.
All right, so that's better for the show. We're trending upwards in,
right.
In accuracy.
So, do you remember on Inauguration Day we talked about that Border Patrol agent who got killed in Vermont?
Yes.
Okay. And we were sort of making fun of the Fox News spin on it because they were acting like they said it was the Border Patrol agent. First of all, getting killed in Vermont when you're Border Patrol agent is kind of difficult to do, we thought. Mm-hmm. And then Fox News was like, this person, they had a Trump Homeland Security official go on and say this border agent was targeted, which seemed ridiculous at the time because he initiated the traffic stop. Mm-hmm. Remember that?
Yeah.
How do you, unless you incept the person to stop you.
Right.
Anyway. But it sort of makes sense why they're being a little paranoid because this was part of an organized group, again, the Zizians, and but just not in the way that they thought or meant, right? And that day, remember, blue check marks on Twitter were saying that one of the killers was a quote illegal immigrant. Neither of the suspects was a migrant in the way they talk about it. And both were in the country illegally. The surviving occupant of the stopped Honda Prius was a young woman named Teresa Youngblood. She's an American citizen and a computer science student. The other person killed during the gunfight, Teresa apparently initiated the gunfight after they were pulled over. The Border Patrol agent returned fire, killed a German national with a valid visa who identified as trans feminine and went by Ophelia. Ophelia had a history of employment as a quant and software developer for well-known hedge funds like Jane Street and Radix. And Teresa, for her part, uses non-binary pronouns. So the reasons this particular movement draws trans people we'll get to in a second. It's actually pretty interesting. It's not, but it's not the same reason Fox News would think. Fox News thinks all trans people, because you know that whole right-wing meme where all school shooters are trans. Yeah, right. Right. So that's what they're going at. But like the other part of the story that was hilarious to me is that law enforcement were surveilling Teresa and Ophelia because they were wearing black tactical gear. But like, that's just everyone walking around at Starbucks, and they could have been doing Uber Eats for Black Rifle Coffee. Like, I don't understand why that's suspicious in America. Maybe because
me neither. I mean, I feel like you see the gravy seals and them, the mayonnaise militia guys. They're always decked out in tactical gear everywhere they go. It's like part of their whole thing. I wouldn't think twice about it, but it's like. But, those are patriotic alpha males doing that. If you see like a trans person dressed like that, then, that's obviously cause for alarm.
I mean, it's one of those situations you kind of got to give it up for profiling, though, because they were part of a murder cult. So.
Yeah, I guess that is true.
So I was reading all this stuff, trying to make sense of it. A reporter for Wired compared this story to a large language model chatbot because basically whatever conclusion you can get out of it, you just plug your own prior prejudices into it and get back, right? Like the closest thing originally I could find to a headline to make sense of was this one: vegan computer savants with Bay Area ties linked to deaths across U.S. I'm like, okay, this is starting to make a little bit of sense. I'm not sure what degree, like Ziz, who's the founder of this movement, is a trans woman. She likes eating meats like the Holocaust, right? She also calls herself a vegan Sith Lord. So you start trying to make sense of these people, you start getting dumber real quick, right?
Well, that's why I'm wanting to get to the motivation here that they have. Is it is it like a crusade against the eating? Is it the vegan part that's?
Nope.
Okay. All right.
It's close to having to do with artificial intelligence. Okay.
Well, of course.
So, because they're all Bay Area tech people. They're part of a movement called, they call themselves rationalists, and like Sam Bankman-Fried, like the what do you call it? The movement he was a part of, it basically said you got like greed is good because you spend the money on charity. I forget the name of it, but like that's part of a rationalist community. So that the fight between Elon and Sam Altman's sort of an offshoot of this too. But rationalists are basically a loose community of amateur philosophers focused on self-described rationalist inquiry that's become influential in AI research and philanthropy. For their part, Youngblood and Ophelia seem to have fallen in with the infamous rationalist blogger Ziz, who espouses a hardline philosophy of justice and an eccentric theory of cognition. All right? For all the hardcore, like, people who matter in philosophy like I did, a little bit of a nerd alert, these rationalists have nothing to do with the Enlightenment thinkers who use the same word. This type of person, because you went to college, will be familiar to you. You play overly abstract, but stupidly overthought philosophical games, and attempt to live in compliance with the stupid consequences you're using. These are the kind of people you do drugs with in a dorm room and think about whether we live in a simulation. Except they take it way too seriously, and they got guns,
murder and stuff. Yeah,
right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, I'm still not. I assume you're getting there, but why are the what exactly are they trying to do, and what people are they killing to facilitate that? The
murders I've seen them involved in, like they shot a Border Patrol agent for trying to stop them. We'll get to another one. Most of them seem interpersonal and not ideological, not directly anyway. So it's more like they're unstable people who kill people who fuck with them.
Okay. Right. They're not targeted assassinations or whatever.
Not of the three or four murders that I've seen documented, all of them seem kind of random just because they're armed up and overly enthusiastic about their belief system. Let's see.
Yeah.
So like the most famous version of this would relate to like modern politics and the Doge kids or whatever, who you could also sort of say are part of this because you're going to put AI into everything. The most famous version of this rationalist impulse is like reason yourself into, I'm quoting here from a blog that Honky Tonk Heart sent me. Reason yourself into a belief that godlike computer-based superintelligence is inevitably coming, and therefore the best use of your time in the present is to devote yourself to ensuring its compliance with human morality. All right?
Right. But how do you do that? How do you ensure a future godlike superintelligence's compliance with human morality?
Well, because you're in a war with the other side. The yang to this yin is basically the Roku's Baseless version of this thought problem, where the AI is inherently going to be evil and will murder anyone who didn't help bring it about. So therefore, your job is to help bring about the evil supercomputer. Okay?
Yeah.
So
just playing to be a meat slave or something. That's the best you're gonna. It's like hopefully I'll be a pet, like a purse dog in the lair of the evil computer overlords or something. That's the best case scenario.
So the way I've been thinking about it is like AI is like the Force in the Star Wars universe, and one side rationalists with the Zizians are on see themselves as like the Rebel Alliance for the good light side of the Force. And the Roku's Baseless side, which is sort of the Elon side, is the evil like Sith Lord version, which is complicated by the fact that Ziz calls herself a big Sith.
That's what I was about to say. It's like what's funny about that is the person in the first group literally called herself a Sith Lord or whatever. So. So
the godfather of this rationalist movement is a guy named, I might say his name fucked up, Eliezer Yudkowsky. No shit, he writes rationalist themed Harry Potter fan fiction. Like call it Harry Potter and the Methods of Rationality. It's a series-length fan fiction, 122 chapters and 660,000 words long. Now, this sounds crazy, but a lot of people that have read it and reviewed it said they think it's really well, across the ideological spectrum, think it's really good and even better than most of J.K. Rowling's shit. So if you guys are Harry Potter enthusiasts, go pick up Harry Potter and the Methods of Rationality.
You're going to end up converting people, Mark. People just recommending this shit, and they wind up, joining a vegan trans murder cult or whatever's happening.
So let's get to Ziz for a second. Ziz is from Alaska. Her government name is Jack Lasota. She got arrested a couple years ago at a protest wearing a Guy Fawkes mask, if you're wondering what her vibe is. In 2018, so here's where the part where the ideology connects to the trans stuff a little bit. They experiment with something called unhemispheric sleep, They try to put one half of the brains to sleep as a time, one half of the brain asleep at a time as a means of debucketing. Basically, they're working off this theory, and I might be phrasing this very poorly, that part of their trans identity is because their brain is at war with itself, and one part's like, for lack of a better way to put it, one part's masculine, one part's feminine, and deciding which part's dominant could help solve the riddle of like whatever's going on in their brains. But they also think that like everybody's brain is like this with different stuff, so they want to see what's going on in the other half of your brain by putting the dominant half to sleep.
Okay.
Right?
I mean, I definitely feel like my brain's at war with itself pretty often, frequently. And there's definitely one half of it I'd like to, shut the fuck up for a little while. At least if I could get like an Ambien, but just for the, that particular part of my brain, that'd be all right.
Right. So here's where to get the criminality. We get into the criminality of this part. So Ziz was arrested in the protest wearing the Guy Fawkes mask. She didn't show up for court. Her lawyer in court showed up and swore that Ziz had died in a boating accident. Ziz was alive and kicking, still alive. Later that year, two Zizians got in a dispute with their landlord and stabbed him with a samurai sword.
Mm-hmm. They do seem like sword people to me.
Yeah. But the landlord lived, shot one of them to death. Cops showed up to the crime scene. Ziz was there. And the cops let Ziz off, even though she was wanted and allegedly dead. And they knew it was Ziz. Okay. Ziz lay low for a few years. And then the Zizians are kind of quiet. Then on January 17th, 3 days before Teresa and Ophelia kill the Border Patrol guard and Ophelia gets killed, the landlord from the Samurai Tech was stabbed to death 3 days on January 17th.
Guy just can't catch a break, man.
He was stabbed twice by the same cult, second time fatally. The guy arrested for killing the landlord was a 22-year-old computer nerd named Maximilian, who had previously been engaged to, drumroll, Teresa Youngblood. Then last week, Ziz got arrested in Maryland for trespassing and possession of a handgun, which I'm sure the Trump administration will try to wrap her into terrorism charges related to the Border Patrol agent slaying, even though I don't even know where Ziz was at that point. Anyway, that's the mystery of the Border Patrol agent slaying and the Zizians, and whether the life and death of one cult and a landlord who was slain by a samurai sword. Well, attempted slaying with a samurai sword, then later stabbed by a regular knife, I guess.
Do you have any, like, roughly how many Zizians exist? Are there chapters of this? Is this just one?
No, it's mostly just people who read her blog, and I couldn't even tell you how many that is. Like, I doubt many of them are committed enough to pick up guns. But again, like, there's not any sort of organized movement here. They don't have a compound or anything. There's a couple people who read a blog, went to some rationalist meetings, and then got guns. So, anyway, they're going to be the new Antifa. If Antifa stuff ever starts happening again, be prepared for the Zizians to make a big comeback on Fox News.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I mean you knew they're going to jump all over this anytime there's like a, the fact that there are trans vegan people like being violent, like legitimately. It's just it's fucking Christmas morning over there. So I'm not surprised by any of that at all. But with that said, let's continue.
It's America's going out of business sale, buddy. Everything must go. Come on down to Crazy Uncle Sam's. So we were going to talk about this stuff. I put the show together yesterday. Then I wake up today, and I see that Trump basically announced via executive order that we're eliminating even token anti-money laundering reporting requirements. Money laundering is fully just fucking fine and cool now. Elon just stole a contract from the FAA. Like, they had a $2 billion contract with Verizon to do something, and there's like, nope, give it to Starlink, even though it's patently outbounds outside of the law or whatever. And there's a process for changing contracts, yada, yada, yada.
Oh, yeah. A hugely complicated process.
Right. I'm not caping for Verizon, but then the hugely complicated process, which they see as redundant and pointless bureaucracy, is what keeps this process from being corrupted, right? So,
No, I mean, it's like I said. I mean, again, that is what I used to do for the Department of Energy, and the whole time I was there, that type of thing could not have possibly been taken more seriously. I mean, it's like I mentioned before, like we couldn't like let potential vendors like buy an appetizer at lunch or anything like that. You couldn't take nothing from them, or even the semblance of like impropriety or favoritism or whatever was like a big time fucking problem. And that, that's the way it was always treated before. But now they're just like, they're just willy nilly handing them out and stuff. And I mean, that type of thing did still would happen or whatever. But if you got caught, or proven, you'd be in deep shit. Now they're just doing it in broad daylight,
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to like a standard tick that I have is that like all this, much of our current crisis is just on top of elite impunity and decades of failure to prosecute white-collar crime.
Yeah.
Anybody, you reach a certain amount of wealth or respectability, and it's just full on the purge for you 24/7. I was thinking about this when I saw it like in a LinkedIn ad somebody had screen grabbed for the David Petraeus Institute for Doing War with Woke Leadership or whatever the fuck he's doing. Do you remember who David Petraeus is, Trey?
I mean, I definitely know that name, but I don't remember specifically where he fits in here or what he does. Was he a CIA person?
Later, but he was an army guy for a long time. He was like a hero. He was like a quote unquote hero of the Iraq War, led the counterinsurgency. He was like the book read nerd general who was like a favorite of like the Obama set during the Iraq War. He got caught after he became CIA director later on, and then it came out that he had basically been giving top secret information to a woman writing a book out on him who he was sleeping with. Now, depending on how you want to couch, they could be like, well, he had loose lips with his girlfriend, or you could say he was trading top secret information for sex. Either way, should have been chased out of a respectable, national security community. But Obama administration dithered on firing him as CIA director, and then Trump almost made him Secretary of State, and now he's back to profiting off his good reputation. Good job, everybody. So back in January, Trump started selling watches for $100,000 on his website. You could only purchase through crypto. So no limit on the amount you could buy. I don't even know what their watches were worth. You might have gotten them out of a fucking bubblegum machine.
I would bet not much.
Right.
I'm watch dumb and everything, but I'm assuming that they're probably not that great, especially in that world, dude. That watch shit, they got some. People take that seriously, and it gets real fancy up in there. There's no way a Trump watch is stacking up against, the real deal.
No. Trump's not in a watchmaker shop like handcrafting stuff with gold like Rolex is. So So but my point is like you could buy 20 if you just want to give Trump $2 million, you buy 20 of these with crypto and walk away, and you can't prove it was. It's not a bribe, but you get watches for it, right? So anyway, these are extremely clumsy gifts, and you don't even have to be clever to do these. Is my point, and none of this shit is particularly clever. They're even bribing Elon's mom at this point. May Musk has been going around the world giving paid speeches about good parenting in the business world or whatever. I'm talking specifically about visits to China, Kazakhstan, and Dubai, the United Arab Emirates. So she visited China at least 4 times last year to endorse or model a bunch of like fashion brands and makeup products and massage devices. Her visits were promoted by state media outlets. In October, 3 weeks before the election, she headlined a forum on women in Kazakhstan where she spoke about her son's success, according to a state news agency there. And in January, a week before Trump's second inauguration, she was in Dubai speaking at a government conference on influencers with a former Fox News personality, Tucker Carlson. Her talk was titled, How I Raised 3 Amazing Children, including the richest man in the world, according to the Emirates news agency.
This makes me realize I've never really thought about, like, what's Elon's, public image or whatever in like China, for example, or some of these other countries. He's the richest man in the world. I'm not surprised they all know who he is, but is he like, does he have cult of personality in all these places too? He's worshipped in these places by.
He does in China. He does in China. He's hated in Europe. It's like a mixed bag depending on where you are. I imagine he's very popular in Russia right now. But yeah, in China, he's like a celebrity in China.
Yeah.
And so May Musk is like a hot commodity speaking there. But if anybody's familiar, like as a person who has friends with Chinese parents, they want all their kids to go into STEM and become billionaires. So like parenting tips from Elon Musk would be highly prized. From May Musk is highly prized there. But I was thinking about Kazakhstan and UAE for a second because so Kazakhstan, most famous for being Borat's home country. I was like, they can't be super friendly to women. Like they give me super into hearing women speak on influencing current events over there, right? Well, it was sort of wrong because this Kazakhstani government does try to do equality because of its legacy of being like a Soviet state and their emphasis on egalitarianism under communism. But they also have a huge problem with forced marriage and bride kidnapping.
Sure.
So
bit of a mixed bag. But also I know that they got, and I mean, I know that you know this, but like Borat, that was all filmed like in rural Romania or whatever, and like all those villagers were lied to about what they were doing and what they were saying and stuff all the time. And they got sued a bunch by both sides of it. And Kazakhstan, the country, was pissed off because I guess it's nothing like it's portrayed in those movies. But it is still a former, Soviet country that has a lot of bullshit going on in it. But
my point is that, like, an appetite for selling a bunch of tickets to listen to Mae Must speak feels astroturfed by the government. Is my point. Because I don't want to go see. I don't want to attend talks by people that actually like and respect.
Right.
United Arab Emirates is doing a little bit better. It's a fundamentalist Muslim nation doing better on women's rights, but flogging is still a punishment for premarital sex over there. So I bet Mae Must doesn't hit for the general public over there. Anyway. That's all context for this. Trump truthed this yesterday. His statement formally announcing there's going to be a United States crypto reserve, which no one knows what this means. But the U.S. crypto reserve will elevate this critical industry after years of corrupt attacks by the Biden administration, which is why my executive order on digital assets directed the presidential moving group to move forward on crypto strategic reserves that includes XRP, Solara, and ADA. I'll make sure the U.S. is the crypto capital of the world. We're making making America great again, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so a couple things about this, besides it being stupid as shit. The formal announcement included 5 different crypto coins: Bitcoin, Ether, XRP, Solana, and Cardano, okay? Another thing I want to note about that post is it's extremely obvious that Trump did not write it.
Oh, you can always tell whenever it's one that was written for him versus one that he actually wrote. It's very obvious.
If I had to guess who wrote it, I would guess Stephen Miller because he's Elon's point man in the White House. Elon's whole career is just pump and dump shit, which is why he hates the Securities and Exchange Commission, which I'm sure we'll have to come back to at some point. I have no idea when he's actually going to try to do this or even what he means by it. Like, he hasn't released any details. There's going to be a big White House crypto summit on Friday where they're going to lay out more of these plans. The crypto world, what some people in the crypto world have been calling for, what they've been calling a crypto reserve, is just law enforcement holding on to the crypto it seizes instead of selling it. Which, fine, fuck it, I don't give a shit. Okay. But what they want us to think in order for this pump and dump scheme to work, if that even that's just it, I have no idea. What I'm saying is I have no idea whether it's just a pump and dump based upon this statement or whether it's actually going to use Federal Reserve money to buy crypto. But what they want us to think they're going to do is use the money they stole from us by illegally canceling government programs to pump cryptocurrency. They're basically cutting cancer research. They can bail out rich, degenerate gamblers, which if you think about this in terms of any other gambling, to think about how stupid it is, it'd be like, we have to use federal money to bail out everybody who took the Jets and the points last Sunday.
Yeah, I don't get why they're... why are they? I don't know. Every time crypto even comes up at all, I just immediately get lost. But I don't understand what they're why bail those guys out just because that's their
because
I don't know.
Well, because they're all in on it together. These are Trump supporters,
and they've given him they buy the watches using their crypto, and they do that type of shit, and so they just
But you don't even understand anything about crypto for this kind. Pretend they're baseball cards. Pretend they're pet rocks or any sort of collectibles. Like they can just pump it up the value of a collectible. This is a way to think about it. And all the people that were in on this beforehand and knew which ahead of time which ones he were going to mention just made insane returns. All right, assuming they sold before because they already started dropping again because it's stupid. But like Solar, for example, was up 20%, and just within an hour or two. XRP was up 26%. ADA was up 53% immediately. Okay, the crypto people said someone had placed basically a $200 million bet on these particular coins going up, and we're probably if they'd gone down 2%, they would have lost $200 million, but it went up, so maybe they made $16 million in profits. It's not a bet you make unless you're sure of it, right? So talking about who they would do this for, David Sachs is going to be running the crypto summit on Friday. He's Trump's lead crypto czar. He is or was not really clear. He says he's no longer, but he hasn't revealed his financial disclosures. He is or was investor in a company called Bitwise, a crypto holding firm, whose top 5 holdings, you're going to be shocked, Trey. Remember I laid you the list of the 5 coins Trump mentioned? Bitcoin, Ether, XRP, Solana, and Cardano. Mm-hmm. His top 5 holdings are Bitcoin, Ether, XRP, Solana, and Cardano. He made bank
how about that?
Yesterday.
Well, it just makes sense, Mark, if those are like the top 5 whatever coins in general, then they're
not the top 5 in general. Solar is a pretty unknown one, in my understanding. So like this is pretty much the coin just became famous. Trump made it famous yesterday. All right.
Nice.
I want to do a brief detour here to talk about a person who's in this particular aspect is being an annoying loser, and it's Arizona's Democratic Senator Ruben Gallego. As a headline for Rolling Stone, Dem overseeing digital assets to hold luxury retreat with crypto kingpin. Yeah, Gallego is holding a fundraising weekend with Mark Andreessen, who's a big MAGA crypto billionaire, venture capitalist, Silicon Valley dude. Gallego replaced Kristen Sinema, ostensibly. He ran being like, she sold out her constituents. He was going to primary her. He was a congressman before he was a senator. And then immediately, Sinema is now a crypto lobbyist. And now Gallego is essentially being a crypto lobbyist as a sitting senator. For sale, baby brain, never used. A lot of people's idea of politicians is the kind of guys who would use their wives as human shields. And they're not beating the allegations currently. I
mean, what does he do? I mean, it's just the same thing they always do. So it's just, there's a lot of money here. You're just getting the same type of garden variety corruption that always happens with the Congress people and everything. They just get in bed with, they're all serving the same masters at the end of the day, that type of shit.
Maybe, but my question to Ruben is, he's like, when I say he's not bad on everything, he's historically, he's been a member in the House. He was a member of the Medicare for All caucus. Good. But like, if you have to choose between taxing crypto out of business to pay for everybody's health care or not having health care, what's your choice, buddy?
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The part that kills me is like, I'm not saying you shouldn't want to be on the Digital Assets Committee, because part of the Senate Banking Committee subcommittee on crypto, that would be a good position on which to sit to regulate these fuckers to keep them honest. Instead, he's attending a fundraising summit alongside them. And if you think that you're supposed to use your power in government to protect the people from predatory financial dipshits, I guess you're too naive to live in modern America. Anyway, at the same time, he's doing this. We talked about the shareholder lawsuit rebellion against Elon Musk's payment package from Tesla a couple months ago. Do you remember us talking about
it? Yes.
So basically, a bunch of Tesla activist investors sued the board, who they said were in Elon's pocket when they agreed to give him $55 billion in compensation. They won their lawsuit. Tesla was forbidden for paying him that. So now Elon's lawyers wrote a bill for the Delaware Democrats to pass to make sure he can get that $55 billion, and they're well on their way to pass it. Delaware, there's a race to a bottom for financial regulation that they won a long time back.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like Wild West banking wise, everything. Right? It's just like a tax haven for all these corporations are like technically headquartered there and stuff for all these shady financial law reasons and shit.
If there was a bank that would store gold for the Nazis like Swiss did, it would be in Delaware. Mm-hmm. And they don't want to let go of that business model, so they're just going to help Elon get $55 billion as a very corrupt favor to him. And letting Elon's own lawyers write the bill is just a chef's kiss thing for them to do. Anyway, if you live in Delaware, call your fucking state rep and yell at them to stop helping this corrupt motherfucker steal money from his shareholders. Go back to Trump for a second, because this we're gonna get to the fun part here. I got a fun character for you we haven't talked about, named Justin Sun, Chinese national crypto billionaire, who originally made his money running BitTorrent. We all used to steal music and movies. Remember BitTorrent, Trey?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, how do you? Wasn't that like illegal the whole time? Like, you're saying this dude like invented BitTorrent, or that was his thing? Like he's the BitTorrent guy? Because that was he
owned it. Yeah, he owned it. Yeah,
right. Yeah, that was a big deal. But I thought it was one of those things where it's like you couldn't be, like the dude that got pardoned by Trump that was from the Silk Road or whatever. I thought that it was like a similar type situation to that. They either didn't know who he was. It's just wild that you could just be that and get rich off that, and everybody knows you were that, and that's just like fine. Because I thought piracy was bad. Obviously, I don't give a shit. I'm just
we use it for piracy.
I did not realize that.
You could also just use it to transfer large files, right? So maybe that was how that's how it was profitable. Yeah,
is that right? I did not even know that. Yeah, it feels like it's kind of like OnlyFans isn't for porn. It's just can't be used that way.
Right.
But that is, it's a good point.
So Sun is pivoted into being a crypto guy, and he got charged by the SEC for, again, these are extremely clumsy grifts. They said what he was doing was two different things that were illegal. One, we had a couple different companies that he was doing wash trades with crypto with, which is basically where you just buy coins back and forth from yourself to make it look like demand and the prices are going up.
Right, yeah.
Your right hand buys something for $100, your left hand buys it back for $200, your right hand buys it back for $300. Then you try to convince the sucker that the price
look at all this action on this coin. Yeah, right. Yeah, it makes it look right.
Yeah. The second thing he did was he was paying celebrities to endorse his coins and not telling everybody these were ads. Okay, so we got in trouble with the SEC. The SEC just dropped the charges yesterday, and the context for this is Sun just gave Trump $30 million in December. So Trump's crypto venture is called World Liberty Financial, and finances have been frozen because they couldn't extract money from it because they hadn't hit some sort of revenue target. So when Sun put $30 million into WLF, that unlocked $18 million that Trump could just have. So he paid WLF $30 million so Trump could have 18.
The fact that the president even has a a crypto company or whatever, just like openly, and all of his, it's just another thing. Like, it just got normalized by Trump and how shitty it is, but it's like, it also should not be cool. Like, it's with like so many things he does, we just get like, you just become, what's the word I'm looking for? You just get like numb to it or whatever. But like Jimmy Carter had to give up his family's peanut farm or whatever, at least temporarily, and yet Trump is out here running crypto schemes in fucking broad daylight and charging the Secret Service, on his own golf courses and all that type of stuff, and everybody knows it. He don't even pretend to not do it, and it's just like totally cool with everybody, and it's so wild.
It's also just offensive. It's offensive to our intelligence. Like, I love a clever scam. I love a heist movie.
Yeah.
This is the heist. This is an Ocean's 11. This is walking into a convenience store, hitting the cashier in the head with a rock, and stealing a pack of gum.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, there's nothing like remotely even fun about this. It's funny and how brazen it is and how stupid it is, but it's nothing like, I can't it's nothing to even be proud of here. Like, at least if you run a smart scam, you're like, I'm a genius, but like, this is just fucking stupid. So the part here is, there were people actually punished for this. By the way, since the original $30 million investment, Sun has dumped another $45 million into WLF, and Trump's causing Trump to receive another $56 million. $56 million total fees. So he's made basically, because a little bit of financial chicanery, Sun's actions have unlocked $56 million for Donald Trump. The people that actually got punished for this are pretty funny. When it charged Sun, the SEC also charged 8 celebrities they said were involved in the scheme, including Lindsay Lohan, Jake Paul, Soulja Boy, Lil Yachty. And so Lindsay Lohan basically paid $400,000. The only person to pay this scam is Lindsay Lohan. It cost her $400,000. I imagine she could probably use right now.
Yeah, no shit. That's a real A-list lineup right there. I mean, Jake Paul, it seems like he's just involved, any kind of shady bullshit that can be going on. It's like he's involved with it one way or another.
Well, he sucks, but if he hasn't paid yet, I imagine Trump will let him off the hook too, because Trump loves Jake Paul. So I mentioned that Sun was from China. Some other context here. Fuck. I hate having to give it up to China. There was a couple episodes in a row, but in 2021, Beijing imposed a sweeping crackdown on crypto trading and mining, forcing exchanges and businesses to shut down or relocate. They also barred foreign exchanges from serving Chinese customers. But because blockchain is decentralized, basically the way it works over there is exchanges are banned and mining's banned, but it's in practicality, in reality, it's legal to own crypto because nobody's going to fuck with you. This is not worth the juice isn't worth the squeeze. The government coming after you. Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying is, save us, President Xi. Glory to the People's Republic. So I want to talk about spend the rest of the show talking about Justin Sun, because he's a wild fucking character. He lives abroad, obviously, because his existence is illegal in China. He was appointed ambassador and permanent representative of Grenada to the World Trade Organization in 2021. This is connected to, remember how Sam Bankman-Fried was operating in the Bahamas? I think this is all a part of the Caribbean countries trying to crypto.
Yeah, they've been doing. I mean, that's been a thing with them for a while, isn't it? I mean, ain't the Cayman Islands down there somewhere?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a famous, so they've been after that, that blood money work too for a minute now.
Yeah, I mean, drug cartels had to have a third nation to stash the money in. There wasn't the U.S. or wherever they wouldn't have to flee when the empire fell, right? So he got pushed out of the job from Grenada because the ruling party lost the election, so he lost that gig. But then in October 24, he got another gig with another government. He was elected as Speaker of Congress. Put this in air quotes, please. Speaker of Congress and appointed as, quote, Prime Minister of Liberland, a micronation that claims to own but does not control a small river floodplain border between Serbia and Croatia.
Is this one of those libertarian utopia things?
Yes, yes.
Those are always fun. Yes. Typically, they fall apart pretty quickly or whatever. I don't know what's going on with this one, but
right. Peter Thiel's currently financing another one, and they always want to live in floating cities with no laws, but they fall apart because they have no servants. There's no underclass. Right. They have no employees. But this one, they're currently what they're trying to do, if you really understand, is they're trying to turn America into one of these libertarian crypto startup states. But again, they never last long, so morons are gassed up on their own supply. But I want to read this again to you. A micronation, a self-proclaimed country that claims to own but does not control a small region on the Danube River border floodplain between Serbia and Croatia. So, among other things, he's a rebel warlord in a breakaway republic on the Danube. And Trump just legalized him running scams in America. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Sun was in the news other reasons in November, December, besides the fact that he was bribing Trump via World Liberty Financial. He bought a $6.2 million banana.
He bought that?
Uh-huh.
I remember that fucking banana.
Yeah.
But the art banana, me and Corey talked about that on Putting on Airs. I didn't realize that this was the dude who bought that, but I totally separate from all this, but just the whole, the art world. We bitch about the art world a lot and those types of things. It's like art stunts or gimmicks or whatever. And that banana was one of the most egregious examples in recent memory to me. It really pissed me off. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I pulled the story back then, I guess, when you guys talked about it. I mean, I didn't know you guys talked about it, but I had it sitting in reserve because I knew he was going to come back up. I didn't know it would be this soon, but I figured these kind of assholes are always doing some shit that lands them in the news or in prison. So maybe it would have come back up when Serbia and Croatia combined to whip Liberland's ass in a war. But this is... So, fill up this video of Sun eating the banana, Matt, and I want to talk about how fucked up this is, not besides being hilarious.
有请孙宇晨先生。我们也相信，今天孙宇晨先生品尝的这一根全球最贵的香蕉，不仅仅是一象征性的行为，与此同时，更是对当代艺术和文化创新的致敬。今天的现场，我们也非常荣幸能够与各位嘉宾和媒体朋友们共同见证这个充满创意与象征意义的美好瞬间。
So, this fucking guy spent $6.2 million bidding on this art piece called Comedian by a guy named Maurizio Catalan, which is just a banana duct taped to a wall. Okay.
Right.
And then he said afterwards, many friends have asked me about the about the taste of the banana. To be honest, for a banana with such a backstory, the taste is naturally different from an ordinary one. To make this even gross, sorry.
He said the taste is different from an ordinary one?
Because it cost him $6.2 million.
Yeah, he's like, you peasants will never know what that kind of banana tastes like. Like a fancy art banana, will never understand what that tastes like. I mean, I feel like I could guess. Probably exactly the same as any other goddamn banana. But, yeah, again, I don't understand the big...
It tastes like a poor person's tears.
Yeah.
That's what makes it hit.
Right,
it tastes like a poor person's tears. It tastes like you're depriving 20 kids from going to college. You could have done.
I know that's his position on it. I'm saying I bet it tastes like just a banana, but that's how he's trying to frame it. It's like, you can't even conceive of what this banana would taste like. Poor people are not allowed to know. But anyway, yeah, go ahead.
I can't believe that he's running scams to get more money when he has $6.2 million to spend on a fucking banana. I will never understand these people.
I know. Well, it's just I don't know. It's the fucking
the game.
Right. The game. Yeah. The game, the hunt, the fucking, just all of it. They just live for all that. The pursuit of more. More is all that matters. It's not like me and you. Because, yeah, I've always said, if I hit one big ass good lick, I'm just going to disappear, basically.
If I sell one banana, you'll never see me again.
Yeah, but people that are out here actually, doing this shit, then get it. They're just not. That ain't how their brains are. They have to keep going, keep crushing other people, and accumulating dragons, hoarding wealth and shit. It's like some kind of disease that they have. Yeah. That makes the rest of us sick. So.
Yeah, it was a quote. What's the quote? It's like we can't cure. The reason we can't cure poverty is that is not because we don't have enough money to feed the poor. It's because we can't satisfy the rich. So when I say the banana tasted great to him because it tasted like a poor person's tears, I did not mean that in abstract. I mean literally one guy's fucking tears. The banana that artist put on the tape to the wall was bought from a New York City fruit vendor for 35 cents. The guy's name is Shah Alam, 74 years old.
Who went and told that guy that? To me, it's kind of like I feel like they could have just let that. He didn't need to know that, I don't think. Like, somebody had to go out there and find the specific fruit vendor. It was like, hey, the banana you sold this morning? Guess what? And that's pretty rough. That's tough to deal with.
I mean, we as a society got to understand how fucked up this is. The guy can sell a banana for 35 cents, and some other dipshit gets paid $6.2 million by a crypto psycho for taping it to a wall.
For duct taping it to a wall, yeah. And calling it art. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not an anti-art person, but I don't understand the value of the banana taped to the wall. Especially when you
I'm not an anti-art person in general, but some of these things, these like art stunts and shit like that, some of it's just fucking stupid. And it also, it seems like another version of like a crypto grift, or just like a grift or a scam or something. And that type of art stuff has always pissed me off,
Art, the value in art is supposed to be that it's timeless beauty, and it's banana is literally it's the avocado of fruits. It doesn't last. It lasts like they go browns so quick.
Another guy once, when we talked about on POA, I found this story. Some other, I don't know if there was nefarious crypto billionaires involved in this, but some other artist sold an invisible sculpture for more than $2 million or whatever it was. It's like, and it's just a pedestal, with nothing on it, and he's like, that's an invisible sculpture that he gave a name or whatever, and someone bought it for so they just bought literally nothing. They gave him $2 million for nothing, for a little plaque that has a title on it.
I applaud that artist, because whatever rich moron bought that deserves to be separated from his money the same way that Justin Sun deserves to be separated from his money, and not just for fucking stupid reasons, but for moral reasons, because he's a goddamn criminal. The artist, what's his name, should go split the money with the fruit vendor, because you guys both worked in this scam, right? So I want to go back to Shah Alam for a second. He's 74 years old. Let me read here from the New York Post. Recently learned that a piece of his produce was used. I got 35 cents. The other guy got $6 million, Alam told the Post Friday as he manned his fruit cart outside Sotheby's auction house on East 72nd Street and York Avenue. It's beyond my imagination, he said. The nearly blind Bangladeshi immigrant who speaks little English said that he felt gutted over the sale, which he was informed of by a New York Times reporter this week. Alam, who makes $12 an hour and works 12-hour days at the stand, tearfully told the Times, I have never had this kind of money. I've never seen this kind of money. The 74-year-old immigrant lives in Brooklyn with 5 fucking roommates. Yeah. Right? He commutes from Brooklyn into Manhattan to work 12-hour days.
Yeah.
Every fucking day.
Right.
And they stole $6 million from him, and Trump let the guy fucking off, even an SEC civil violation for being a con artist.
Yeah, this whole story is just like, very metaphorically appropriate for just the current state of this country and our culture and everything in general. Everything about it is kind of perfect in an infuriating way.
Shah pays taxes, works hard. Elon does neither.
Yeah.
Like they're all fucking. Like, this is scams on scams on scams, and yeah. And you would think that like the thing people keep saying that I don't think is true is that like, well, they're going to end up in jail if they don't. I'm like, no, they won't. Ruben Gallego will be holding a fundraiser with them in 2 years. There's no the people in power have no impulse towards like accountability or retribution, and like I think it's going to end up falling on the people, and it's going to be like, you know, more and more Luigi type situations, because no one else is going to do anything, and it's fucking frustrating and scary. But also,
yeah, no,
creates fun stories, like Sonny the Banana. Yeah.
Yeah, well, at first, you know, you said that more Luigi type situations. Up top of the show, when we were talking about, you know, the trans vegan death cult or whatever, I didn't know if that was where that was going. You know, when we first started it, unfortunately not. But yeah. But anyway,
they were probably going to end up being in the shootout with other rationalist movements who are pro AI or pro evil AI or whatever. So. We're just like, these people's conflicts are inscrutable to us. Like we could do a 3-hour episode on the beef between Sam Altman and Elon Musk and still not make it make sense. So, yeah.
Yep. Well, speaking of Elon, I got a couple, because we have a couple of minutes left here at the end of this episode. Don't just give people a little taste, I guess, of what we do on the Q&As. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You guys could guess. I'm sure you don't have trouble understanding it. But I'm going to read a couple of questions from that because they're related to Elon. At the end of this episode. So Natalie Nichols, longtime skewer and patron, says, "Hey boys, I was just wondering what you were going to do with the big old check Elon is going to send you from all the gazillions of government money that he is currently saving." Just if you guys don't know, Natalie, that's definitely meant to be tongue in cheek. But yeah, you excited for I've heard 5,000, 8,000, big old check they're going to send everybody. It must be very exciting.
They can't. First of all, statutorily, it's not the law. I don't know where they're going to find the money, because like they keep bragging about all these savings, but the last time I saw an accurate counting of the money they've saved, it's like $16 million.
Yeah. No, so I mean, look, I literally said in one of my videos, I was like, there's not going to be a check, you know. No. So I'm, you know, the only thing that makes me think there might be some kind of check is the fact that I stated publicly that there wouldn't be.
I mean, they literally. Do you see they canceled the leases for the National Weather Service? They just like they're not going to be in the office for the National Weather for part of the National Weather Service, the part that actually predicts the weather. So, everybody, be prepared to keep paying taxes for weather services that doesn't exist, and while you get your weather by looking out the fucking window the same way your great grandparents did. That's where we're headed.
Okay, got another question from Chad Rydell, which is just appropriately ridiculous. Says, "I can't remember where I saw it or if this was even real and not just clickbait garbage." That's the type of sourcing we appreciate here at the Skews. Chad, he says, "But a recent article states that in 2026, Elon plans to begin production on a massive humanoid robot army." In typical Elon fashion, that sounds like another false promise investor grift. But if that does come to fruition, that's it for us at Democratic Freedom, right? I mean, I feel like you answered your own question, Chad. This is another example of like, we're supposed to have a base on Mars by now. We're supposed to have the brain chips where we can all hook up to each other's thoughts and share emotions and all this stuff. There's supposed to be a fucking tunnel to Vegas or whatever the fuck. And, you know, and literally none of those things have happened. So I've seen him talking about his robots and shit, but it's just another one of those things. Like, it's not.
Tesla's last earning call, he promised the humanoid robots to be rolled out by the end of this year. So he's already pushed that back to next year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's always be like that. The original promise of Tesla was a lie. Like none of his shit's real. And like you could throw in like whatever he's doing to the government right now is just an extension of it. And again, like, going back to the elite accountability thing, everything he's ever said has been a lie. None of his businesses ever panned out the way he said they would. And yet, just keeps on getting more powerful.
Yep.
So.
Mm-hmm. All right. So yeah, thanks for those questions, guys. Made it on to the main episode. How about that? Lucky you. You must feel very excited. Thank you guys for watching. And reminder, go to TreyCrowder.com and check out my upcoming tour dates. Come see me out there on the road. And if you're in Knoxville or Chattanooga in April, Drew, our friend of the show, the lovely Drew Morgan, will be with me in Knoxville, and then the Cho himself will be with me in Chattanooga. So look out for those. Also got the Wilbur in Boston coming up, and a weekend in Austin, Texas, and a lot of other big fun shows. So go to TreyCrowder.com and come see me. Consider supporting this show on Patreon, weeklyskews.com/more, or just go on Patreon and search my name. Either way works. $5 a month. 2 full-length bonus episodes. We answer questions like the ones you just heard. We just do the show, more episodes of it. You get it. You understand how it works. Get some more Skews in your life. Support the show in the process. But primarily, keep watching this here edition on Skews Day nights, and we'll keep pumping them out for you. We appreciate you. Love you like chicken. See you next time. Bye.